Well, hey guys, now that you've been through one cycle of submitting assignments and we're in the second week of class, I'd like to talk to you about the assignments that I reviewed this week. I purposefully waited to get an assignment from you before I actually dived into the details here, so here we go. When you submit an assignment in writing, keep in mind the things that are on this page. For example, don't include a title page. You don't need to reference course textbooks unless there's a direct quote. I ask you to adhere to APA guidelines, the basic ones. So those are things like making sure your margins are set to 1.5 inch on the left and 1 inch the rest of the way around. Your font is Times New Roman at size 12. If you have section headings, make sure you follow the proper guidelines for that, which are all capital letters and it's centered. Make sure you're using indented paragraph style. Many of the papers that I saw this week were either an outline format or bulleted format, or they had numbers. Don't do that. Write it in paragraph style. Make sure everything is double spaced. There should not be any bolding at all in your paper. Your name should not be in the paper that I open. It should only be in the file name. And then if you're doing tables or graphs, which figures, which most of you won't be doing, make sure you use proper formatting for that. So let me give you some examples of some of the things that I saw this week. Several people had headings on their papers. Don't put a heading on there. If you use a section title, which I asked you to do for the two responses that you did this week, those should be centered and capitalized. So make sure that you're doing that. Don't include the prompt itself. Answer the question and include the prompt in your topic sentence of your paragraph. You can work the wording of the prompt straight into the first paragraph sentence, which is called the topic sentence. Another thing that you don't need to do is to say something like, assessment to me means, well, you're the ones writing the paper, so we are assuming that you're the one who is talking about what you mean about assessment, so you don't need to use a phrase like to me or in my opinion. The paper that you're writing is simply your opinion. Then I mentioned numbers. Don't number your prompts or your question responses. Instead, make sure you're using an indented paragraph style. When you write, because we are not talking face to face, it's important that you show me through your writing what you're talking about. Don't just tell me. If you say assessment, some of the assessments I know are formative and summative, and then you go on to a brand new sentence that has nothing related to summative or formative, that doesn't show me anything. Give examples of formative assessment. Give examples of summative assessment. Keep in mind that we are not face-to-face with each other, so you're going to have to tell me in writing what it is you're thinking so that I can get into your head a little bit more. Again, I'm going to refer you back to the resources page. If you choose to do an alternative assignment option, which I highly encourage you to do, I think I only had 2 students do that this week. You have an option of a presentation. It could be a PowerPoint, a Prezi, a keynote, whatever you want. It could be an infographic. It could be a virtual poster. It could be a podcast. I highly encourage you to use some of those alternative methods as well. Then, since I have you, I would just remind you about the online discussion every week and how important that is, that you get on throughout the week and participate in the discussion, and then at the end of the week you submit that discussion rubric. I know I blew it the first week by not having prompts for your discussion, so I modeled very poorly for you. I'm sorry about that, but you need to participate in discussion, and then at the end of the week, make sure that you're addressing all the points that are in the rubric. Don't just skim through it and say, oh, they just want me to give me a total number of points. Make sure you look at each of those points because one of them asks you to write at least 2 sentences. I've actually changed this rubric a little bit this week, so if you copied and pasted the old one, go back to the resources page and get the new one. And then I want you to make a connection between the readings, and that's what we're doing in class, the online discussions, and what you're planning to do in your future classroom or your school. So what are those connections? How are you taking this information forward in your professional development? And then I'm expecting at least 5 sentences to talk about that. And then give yourself a score, okay? I really encourage you to think about this course as if it were a face-to-face class. How often would we meet if we were a face-to-face course. Well, it's a 2-credit class, so we would meet at least twice. So you need to be online periodically throughout the week. I would highly suggest that you come up with a schedule, and if you can block out a half an hour a day from 10 to 10:30 and say that's the time I'm going to devote to the assessment course, get online, check any messages from me, download any assignments that I've returned to you, ask me any questions that you have, participate in discussion. You will find that your life will be much easier as you navigate through this online course if you do that. If you wait until Friday or Saturday or Sunday to try to get everything put together, I think you're going to find that that's going to be to your disadvantage. So get on as soon as you can and participate throughout the week, especially in discussions. As always, if you have questions, please let me know. And I look forward to the messages and things that I get from you, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.